This is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on the trail. Hello. We are back in the saddle again. This is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity. And I can't believe it's June. We've been doing the show for 18 months now, a year and a half. So very excited about that. But this is episode 63. And we're going to talk a little bit more about summer rodeo. We're kicking off the summer rodeo season, and just in Texas and Oklahoma alone, there are more than 1,000 rodeos, and obviously rodeos go on all across the country. So if you have any interest in going and seeing a rodeo, there's probably one somewhere near you, at least within an hour or two of wherever you're living, if you're in the United States especially. So we're coming into the rodeo season. For years and years, the stock shows happened in the spring, like Fort Worth and Denver and Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Arizona, Phoenix. Those rodeos happened usually in the spring, and then the summer was the real season. Almost every weekend, any Friday or Saturday, and even Sunday, you can find a rodeo if you want to go and compete in a rodeo. So that's what we'll be talking a little bit later, but obviously a couple of things. Like you say, this is June, and we are celebrating Juneteenth. So in a couple of weeks, we'll be kicking off our new partnership program with the new Blue Collar. We actually made that announcement last month, but we'll have our first legacy piece that we're going to be sharing with the audience, with our Wild West Diversity audience, our Cowboys of Color audience, and basically anybody else. So we hope that you will stay with us, that you will go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Punch the red button or the black button. It's a Wild West Diversity. You can just type that in and search, and our show will come up there. And as we say, we've got 62 other episodes. We've had some great interviews. We've interviewed rodeo people. We've interviewed retail stores, Wild Bills. We've talked to Tiny Tainment. We've talked to Jose Hernandez, one of our clowns, one of our stilt walkers, one of our entertainers, street entertainers. We've talked to barrel racers, Brittany Amos. We just talked to all kinds of people here on this show, and we do that every Thursday at 5 p.m. So we hope you'll come back each Thursday to watch the show. We also want to give a shout out here today for 4D Excavating. They are one of the sponsors for our Man on the Ranch, Charles Flores Hearn. And so we want to give them a shout out because they have sponsored him again for another 3 months. And so that's one way that cowboys can get up and down the road. They can have somebody sponsor them. And for instance, Charles has put the logos on his shirt. And so he promotes them when he goes out and he competes and when he does interviews, things like that. And that the money they give him for sponsorship helps him pay his entry fees, because the one thing about rodeo, the sport of rodeos, you pay to play. You usually have to pay an entry fee to get in, and you're not guaranteed any money coming out of that rodeo event unless you win. Usually you have to win in one of the top 3 spots, first, second, or third. That's usually how they give cash money. A lot of the smaller rodeos only give buckles and hats and saddles and other things like that. But it's the big rodeos where you see a lot of the money that gets given to cowboys. And so they have to compete all year. And those that have the most money, have made the most money throughout the year, are the ones that get to go to professional rodeos. So like I mentioned, there are over 1,000 rodeos that are going to be coming up this summer. Every weekend you can go somewhere and see a rodeo. Because there's a Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association, a PRCA. There's Professional Bull Riders Association. That's called PBR. There's the IPRA, which is the International Professional Rodeo Association. And basically, these are all memberships where you have to either have so many points or make so much money before you can become a member. And then you have to pay an entry fee, a fee to them for membership as well. But they don't just take anybody. So you have to have competed, you have to have been in rodeos, you have to have won some rodeos. So you begin to make a name for yourself. But there are a lot of smaller rodeos that are happening every weekend. So if you just want to go and see a rodeo, like I mentioned, you probably can do that somewhere close. The other thing I want to do is talk about, before Charles comes on here maybe in a minute, is we're doing our summer book donation. So what we do is, this is our founder, Cleo Hearn's story. We've done this as a children's book, and we basically are donating these books to schools here this last week of school. It's the last week of school in a lot of places. We also donate some books to the working poor, because a lot of times children with parents that are working, they just don't have enough money for special treats like books. Maybe they get used books, or they can go to the library and check out a book, but they don't usually have their own books. So we make it an effort as a part of our educational programming and our give back to the community to donate these books. And if you want to support us in that endeavor, you certainly can. Just send us an email. You can follow us on Facebook, or you can maybe comment down below under any of the shows, and we'll see those comments, and we'll make arrangements to basically do that. And what we do is we put a book plate in the front that says this book's given and by courtesy of Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, for instance, just sponsored 100 books for us to give to kids. So we're giving those books out to kids in Grand Prairie, in Dallas, over in Garland. So there are kids that are getting these books. And so if you have any interest in supporting kids and letting kids know about Western history so they can connect to their, this is our basically collective Western history. You know, all of us participated, all the cultures, white, African American, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, it doesn't matter basically where you come from. We are a nation, especially in the United States, we're a nation of immigrants. And so all of these different cultures came to this country. They participated in the settling of the American West. We have talked about some of those historical characters, those rodeo characters like Bill Pickett and Jesse Stahl, and we'll be sharing more historical characters with you as we go forward. And then obviously we're sharing those living legends like photographer John Ferguson from the UK, and Kevin Woodson, our rodeo announcer, Ed Herman, photographer and filmmaker out of Philadelphia. So people all over the world are involved in this Western lifestyle, and we want you to be involved too if you want to. So another thing that we'll be doing is I'll be trying to get on a little bit more, maybe on Facebook, and doing some lives there on Wednesday, taking some questions and answers. So if you have questions about a period of time in history, about a particular culture, or even a person that you've heard about or you want to know more about, these legends, please let me know. Please send me a comment. Please send me an email to wildwestdiversity@gmail.com. Or you can, like you say, follow us on any social media, because we're live right now on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And all of our shows get archived to our YouTube channel, like I talked about earlier, and you can subscribe to that. So check us out. Send us an email if you have any questions related about rodeo or about Western history or about Western art. Going to be talking to a great artist named Mark here later on in June or July. He's got a show over at the Irving Art Center, and he grew up here in Texas, and he's got an exhibit over there that's got a really neat technique, but it's Western basically scenes, and he was inspired by cowboys and the rodeo lifestyle and the Western lifestyle, ranchers and farmers. And so he's painted some wonderful pictures on that. So we're going to be talking with Mark later on here at Wild West Diversity. We're also still on the hunt for the Diaz family. For Jerry Diaz and Stacy and Nicholas. They're a family out of New Braunfels and San Antonio area, Central Texas, and they put on Mexican rodeo. So they are in the midst of that. If you want to go to a Spanish rodeo, there are Mexican rodeos happening all across the country as well. You'll see our Escaramuzas, which is a Spanish lady side saddle team. You see Spanish dancers, you see horse training, you see charros. All of these people with masterful horse skills. They are men and women who both have mastered the art of horsemanship, and some of the feats and some of the things that they're able to do with these horses is just magic. So if you love animals, if you love horses, you want to go and see one of these events. And that's the other thing about rodeo. The whole thing about Mr. Hearn and Cowboys of Color here is Cleo just loved horses. He just wanted to be around the horses. I mean, he did meet a black cowboy. And after that, he decided that he was going to find a ranch, find a place. And there was a place, but not very close. You know, he had to walk a mile or so to go to where the ranch was at. But he saw these horses and he wanted to be friends with these horses. So that's an early picture there of Cleo and our rendition of that. So, you know, he saw this big, beautiful tan horse and he told that horse, we're going to be good friends someday soon. And the horse just looked at him kind of funny. But Cleo was determined to make his dream of riding and roping a reality. And so that was fun. He did make friends with this horse. Eventually, the horse let him ride him. Really cute photo. So get this book. If you've got kids, preschool age and up, probably to about, I don't know, 8, 10 years old, from about 3 years old to 10 years old, they're going to like these books. Also, this one behind us, shameless self-promotion going on here today as we kick off June. But it is, we're coming into Juneteenth, and Juneteenth, for most everybody knows what that is today, but that's when slaves were actually freed in the western states and Texas and other places, because they actually had been given freedom 2 years before that. But you have to understand, this was the 1800s. They didn't have cell phones, they didn't have internet, they didn't have television, they didn't have radio, they didn't have any of that. They maybe had a telegraph system, and they had mail, slow mail, snail mail as we call it today, where mail would come on a wagon or on a horseback or something. But they finally got to Galveston and one of the generals made the announcement from the second story of the tallest building in Galveston. It was a hotel, 2-story hotel, and announced that that the president and the Senate and the Congress had passed freedom. And so slaves had been freed. And so that was a big celebration, and that's called Juneteenth today. And now Juneteenth's celebrated all over the country, but especially here in the South for sure. So check some of those things out. If you don't know the history, go look it up. Today, there's nothing you can't find that's not on the internet or that's not somewhere. There are books, there are people, there are lectures, there are workshops. Now, hopefully, there are going to be some more movies. We have new movies coming out and some television series. So it is a wonderful thing because all boats rise. When we have something like Yellowstone in 1836 and have some new things coming on, I think 1835, and then they're going to actually do Bass Reeves, who was the first black marshal, as you know. And we've talked about Bass Reeves here a lot on this show. We've talked with reenactors who play Bass Reeves and share that story with children and adults. So be looking for those things, because those are things that are out there in the mass market world. Those are things on the television, and so in the movie theaters. And so hopefully they get those stories right, because there's a lot of times we have to come behind and we have to explain that movies are fiction, not fact, and a lot of times they're based on these characters, these real people that actually lived and experienced these exciting adventures, but they don't always stick to the script. They don't always tell the true story. And so that's why we're here, because we are here. We're an educational company. We are in the business of sharing the true facts, the multicultural history of all cultures, so that so that if you can connect to your heritage, because a lot of people just don't know. A lot of people don't know there were Black cowboys, Hispanic cowboys, Native American cowboys. They don't know about Buffalo Soldiers. They don't know about the colored troops, or what were Black troops for the first time, that were established in the late 1800s. There were 4 infantry troops and 2 cavalry troops that were all Black units. Obviously had officers above them that were white, because most officers had to go through West Point or had to have served in the military previously. And so but there were troops, and they became known as the Buffalo Soldiers. And we'll be talking more about them in July, because Texas especially is Texas Buffalo Soldier Month is every July. That's been designated by our state legislatures many years ago. Almost, guys, probably been 20, 25 years now that they declared that. And so we celebrate that in these positive changes. So yeah, like it says here on the screen, make it matter with positive change. And that's what we hope to do with these stories. By telling the true stories, people can connect to that. They can learn things they haven't learned before. And hopefully that's what we'll do. So we really appreciate you joining us here at Wild West Diversity. We'll keep interviewing great people. We'll have more people on. We had the wonderful Oba Babatunda, who's not only an actor, a producer, a stage, and a singer. He also is a horse whisperer, so he trains horses when he's not on the television or the big screen or in the studio. And so do that. Check those things out. Go back and look at our YouTube channels. Look at our archive shows. And then, like I say, be checking in on Wednesday on our Facebook page, our Wild West Diversity, and my author Liz Lawless page. I'm going to be, like I say, jumping on. We may do some office hours as well here. We've got a couple of things we're planning for the summer. If you've got a 7th or 8th grade student, a child or a grandchild, or maybe even a kid in the neighborhood, somebody at church, whatever, that we're going to be having our Western Legends Yesterday and Today summer camp in July. So July the 24th through the 28th, we will be having our summer camp program, and that's where we'll bring the kids in for the day. And on the first day, they'll do some research about one of these historical characters that we often talk about on this show, an event or a time in history, and they'll have to put themselves in that place, in that location, and meeting that person. What would it be like to be a friend of Bill Pickett? Or what would it be like to have ridden the trail or been a Buffalo Soldier? And so the kids are going to do some research on the Monday. The second day, they're going to start writing their story, because they're going to be learning critical and creative thinking skills and writing skills. And then on Wednesday, they're going to decide what kind of a story they want to make. Do they want that story to be a song, a poem, a video, a fashion element, some kind of clothing or something like that? Do they want to sell that product, or do they want to just do it and have it as a project that they've completed, that they've done? Maybe it's something they can use for extracurriculum when they go back to school. But they're going to learn these skills during the week, and we'll be there probably from at least 9 to 4 each day, and we'll have lunch for the kids, and we'll have mentors there, and they're going to be meeting these filmmakers. They're going to be meeting these authors that are going to help them write these stories, edit these stories, produce these stories. And so if you've got a child, we hope that you will send them. We'll have more information available we'll make those brochures, registration brochures available on our Facebook page. So be sure to follow us at Facebook at Wild West Diversity or LinkedIn. We also obviously have a page on LinkedIn because this show runs live on LinkedIn. At least I hope it is. I forgot our producer Russ has been banned for a short time. But anyway, regardless, we do have the shows. We're doing the shows every Thursday at 5 p.m. The shows get archived. So if you have some interest in that, we appreciate it. But we really thank y'all for watching. We thank you for listening. We ask that you would share these stories for us. And it looks like our friend Charles, he wasn't feeling so great today. Our man on the ranch, Charles Hearn, Flores Hearn. But we'll have him come back later on. You'll be seeing him again. He's going to be out on some of the ranches, talking to farriers, talking to other cowboys, people that are ranching, and getting an up close and personal view. And we'll be talking more about horses and rodeo and how to take care of animals. And so I'm going to quit a little bit early because I usually run over, but not today. Today we're going to quit on time, or not, if not even earlier than being on time. But thank you so much. So this has been episode 63. I'm your host, Liz Lawless, for Wild West Diversity. We hope that Charles feels better soon. We know he will, and he'll be back here to see us. So y'all have a great time. If we don't see you here on Thursday at 5 o'clock, we'll see you on the trail. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Liz Lawless, your host for Wild West Diversity, where we tell the rarely and untold stories of multicultural contributions to the settling of the American Wild West. Each Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be sharing a historical legend and a living legend. Someone from history and someone living that Western lifestyle today, keeping it alive for the future generation. We hope you'll join us on Thursday. If not, we'll see you on